God damn it. All right. Well, here we are. Requiem for a Tuesday. This is Adam Pecora. Sorry, I'm making noise. So this is attempt number 2 at trying to record this episode because I had my headphones live, but I did not have my mic live, and I was like 20 minutes in, um, 20 minutes into a talk of sidetracks. I was 20 minutes into a story that was only supposed to be like a couple sentences, like sum up lead to what it was, but then I ended up like getting pretty into it, and it was pretty good. I had some good fucking lines in there. That's what bums me out the most, is that like I can easily like repeat the same exact type of story that I had before because it's my story. Like that's a thing, and I had a point going in that I was trying to make, and it's like the little details. What if they don't come out as good this time? Which is fine. But also, like, I really don't want to say the same fucking thing again. But I'm gonna. Sorry. I'm gonna. Don't worry. I wouldn't do that. Wouldn't just leave you hanging. Um, but I probably will not make it as ranty and ridiculous. But who the fuck knows what's gonna happen? We'll find out. I just, yeah, it's been a rough couple of weeks, maybe 3. I didn't even mean that to be a joke, but I've been going through some shit, and I'm gonna break that down a little bit, which I wasn't originally going to do. It's supposed to be a summary, and then I'm gonna break down like a whole bunch more shit, and it's eventually gonna loop together into a nice, pretty little package, I think. Okay, let's hope that this is compelling, and not just fucking pointless to you. I mean, to me, I think that it's brilliant. I'm about to do some quality story building here. Okay. So we're gonna start with about 2 weeks ago. It was my birthday. So today's 30th. 15 days ago was my birthday. I turned 25, and it affected me in some pretty profound ways that I really did not expect it to. And so much wild shit has happened in the 2 weeks since that, and it all culminated literally to a moment that I had like maybe 20 minutes before I started recording that first one, which was right before this. So like it was like an hour ago that this all really came together, and it was like, wow, I'm so glad I wasn't able to record yesterday. I was originally going to do this when I got home from work yesterday, and I didn't because it was my buddy's birthday. Shout out to Justice. Happy birthday, buddy. I love you. And yeah, I was gonna do it like right after work. I worked at 5 in the morning. I was gonna get home at like noon, bang out a quick pod, and then we're back. Then it's 2, 3 o'clock. You're chilling. That's it. And yeah, there's your day. So that's how I like to do it, and that's why I'm a little upset that I wasted like 30 minutes going into this. But that's okay. It's okay. It's all right. Bringing the shit back together. And normally, yeah, I mean, it just came all together in such a way. I'm so excited for it, and that was part of the reason why I was upset that I was like dragging it out so long, because I was like, dude, I just want to get to the part where it gets crazy, and I hope that it has that same payoff, or at least a similar one for somebody. If anybody listens to this yet or ever does hear this, um, I hope that the point means something. It's kind of like a meta point because of what ended up happening. But anyway, I hope it at least entertains. If it connects with you, that would be great. rfatpodcast@gmail.com for any inquiries of any kind. And yeah, so we're talking around January 3rd. That's where I'm gonna start. I got sick. Like I had a very extreme flu. There was a Sunday night, I believe, where I woke up in the middle of the night. I'd been fine, maybe a little phlegmy, like a runny nose or something. It's the middle of winter, and I just was immediately like so nauseous. And I was like, like when you're like gonna puke and you like kind of have the spins and you can like kind of fight it off, And some, like, there's a few rare times where it works, and you're like, fuck yeah. And like, I wasn't drinking or anything. Like, it wasn't that kind of spins, but it was like just a pure nausea spin. And I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna throw up, like, for sure. And I was kind of fighting it off, and I was kind of winning. Like, it was working. It would kind of come in waves. Like, I would win, and then it would come back. It was kind of like a little boxing match I had with this nausea. And my crutch so far is saying "and" to fill time instead of doing because I'm trying to be conscious of that, but I'm doing that too, and that is, pretty upsetting. But we're working up the kinks here. But there's the same shit. I just had to fucking puke. I don't know why, and so I couldn't. It came back. We went into like the fifth, sixth round, and I got gassed. I was throwing haymakers, and that nausea was playing defense, and he caught me good. I was gassed anyway. So yeah, I threw up, and it was just like completely out of nowhere. It was a completely normal day and everything, and then the next morning, I was like freezing, like freezing, like as if as if I'd slept outside. It was like 18 degrees. We had the heat on either way. I'm in a house. I'm on the second floor. I got blankets. Like, I was wearing them, and I was shivering, and I didn't know what was going on. I think I might have been shivering a little bit when I went to bed that night. Like, I started to feel a little weird before I went to bed, but then I just threw up. And then, so I didn't go to work the next day, because I was like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. Maybe I just have like a little food poisoning, like a weird 24-hour bug. And I just stayed under the blankets all day. I was so cold the whole time, and it just got worse and worse and worse. And I basically couldn't afford to call off work for a whole week or however long it was going to be. Couldn't have afforded a second day. So I go to work the next day. It's awful. I got so many layers on. You know, I had like 2, 3 pairs of socks. Up to that point, I wear shorts under my pants, like, as a way to like not wear long johns, and like when I get home I can just take my pants off. I already got shorts on, like that's pretty chill, and it's also just good as another layer. So I'll normally do that in the winter, like when needed. But I hadn't up to that point. It had been pretty warm, granted, but like it was cold that week, and I don't know, I just wasn't. But I did, and it was like I was wearing like 2 shirts, like a long sleeve shirt, a short sleeve shirt, and then I was wearing like a hoodie and my parka over it, all the way buttoned. I almost always wear it open just because like I don't like the constricting, but then I also hate it flowing around, so I don't really know. But either way, I always like have it open because I have a hoodie on under, and it's just a weird. I don't know. It's my dystopian goth look, my thrift store bullshit look. I can't come to terms with it sometimes. Just kidding. My hoodies are dope. Wish I had more. I wish I had like 500 hoodies. Like, people want the closet for the shoes, or just the designer in general. It's like, I just want hoodies. And I want to live in a place where I can wear a hoodie 365 days a year. Like, like at night, Because then I would still like warm days where I can like have shorts on. Wouldn't want to have to wear a hoodie every day. Like, it's like hoodies are optional. You can get by. Anyway. And yeah, I was just so cold, and I was still trying to go smoke cigs, which I had been doing for a long time. I cut back sometimes. I like flow quit a couple times. I was never like that bad. It's not like I'm pack a day, 2-pack a day guy, pack and a half, whatever. It was like at my peak, I was doing like 10. And that felt like a lot. And no matter what, whenever I would start to have more from what my minimum was, or like my thing before it, I always panic about it. I don't want to make this whole thing about smoking. But yeah, and I just kind of made the decision while being that sick, because it lasted all week. I spent every day coming home and just in full clothing, getting under like 3 blankets and just staying there until I woke up and went to work again. It was awful. and I was not getting better. It got worse the next day, and then it kind of eased up from there. And by the weekend, I was good. I just could not stop violently coughing. Whatever. And cigs taste weird when you're sick too. It's like you don't even like them as much. Like you're still doing it because you want to do it, and then you kind of regret doing it because you're like, this tastes bad. Like this was dumb. Why did I bother? Put in all the effort, to come out here and whatever. And it was during a smoke break at work where I was just like, I'm so cold that I have to stop. And like, you never stop. Like, you go out in the thing to smoke a cig because you want to smoke a cig. And when you stop smoking that cig, whether you're drunk or whatever, it's because you decide you don't want the cig anymore. Doesn't matter how cold it is. You're like, I'm good with this. It's out. Whatever. Because you've had enough. Like, the cold can maybe speed up that process, but you're never like, man, I want to finish this, but I'm going to go inside. That doesn't happen. I don't know. And I was just like, that's how sick I was. One is one thing, but two, it was also just like kind of a moment, and I was also just like, why am I like I always get to that thing in my head. I'm a hypochondriac, which doesn't make sense as to why I'd be smoking, but that's also kind of part of this origin story thing that I'm telling right now. I just was like, I'm out. I don't want to do it, because I'll always be like, if I'm having one, and then I'm alone, just like chilling. It's like, what the fuck am I doing? This doesn't make any sense. And it's like, this is my fourth one today. And it's like, oh, and it's like if you're dehydrated, like you just feel it more. And I don't know, my anxiety would just build and build and build. And I just hated it. I hated doing that. But then like there's so many times when you just love it. You just love it. And that's the first thing you think of, like when it stops. Like, oh man, I loved it. Bring it back. But I was just like, I don't want to do this. This is dumb. Because I was too sick to be enjoying it. It was hard. I was just in pain and cold all day. And then I would go outside and I'm like, dude, I can't handle this. Because I was wearing like I was wearing like all those layers inside, minus the parka. I was wearing all those layers inside. Like, I was so cold still. And I had another jacket that I put on that just wasn't that big and ridiculous because, like, at my work. But the whole time I was just, I was just in all those layers, and I'm not that. It was insane. So anyway, to wrap that part up, I was just like, yeah, I'm done. And then I had one on my birthday, but whatever. I don't give a fuck. I was drunk. It was fun. And I'd like to get to a place where I can have one every few months, but I can't be the guy to have them. Because I was just doing a freezer thing. Where I was like, okay, I'm only going to take 2 with me, and the next thing you know, I'm taking 5 with me, or 4 with me, and the next thing you know, I just have it on me, and it's like, okay, that wasn't the point of this. I was trying to, like, make it chill, and I want to get to the point where I can just have a pack in my freezer, and I'm only going in there once a month, maybe, and it's on my terms. But that I know that won't happen now. Like, it'd be like, oh, we smoked, we drank, whatever we did. Oh, those are in the freezer. Let's go get them. So I just have to not do it. I did the Juul thing, and that's dumb, and I don't want to do that anymore either. Those are stupid, and I don't like them. I do like them, but no. This wasn't supposed to be about the smoking part. So I think that was a builder for my anxiety because, like, I don't know, like it ramped it up. I know that like smoking raises it, and like you could show me a thing that says like it's proven to raise your anxiety, and I would believe you. But at the same time, I would be like, yeah, but it doesn't. Because like you're stressed out, you go have a cig, and it like chills you out. Because it's like even if you don't get that buzz, it's just like the buzz still happens whether you feel it or not. Not all the time, I know that, but like it's like, okay, this is relief now. And so then like that kind of went away. So I think my anxiety built up. I don't really remember it building up. I remember it being like, man, what do I do the next time I go on break, or like get like again like super stressed about something and I just want to like sig it out. It's like, well, what do I do then? And that was the part. And it was like, man, I'm walking to work. It's like, what am I doing during this walk? It's like all those like little moments. And all of a sudden, I just like it just like hits me the day before my birthday, or it was the day before, because the day of was fine. I feel like my brain made me get it out of my system a day early. But I just like freaked out. I was like, dude, I'm about to turn 25. I haven't done shit. What's going on? Where am I going? What have I done? How do I change it? I'm gonna die soon. It's like, no, I'm not gonna die soon. And I don't want to die ever is also a thing. If I haven't shared that, like I want to live forever, like Matrix, whatever. Um, Download me onto a computer. Consciousness though. I don't want to just like have an android act like me forever. That's stupid. And no android could be this fucking ridiculous. So like yeah, if there's any consciousness transfer thing or like just cyborgism starts coming around and you can like just upgrade, I'd be into that. Whatever we got to do to keep this thing rolling, you know, let me know. Once it's 100%, I'm not risking my life to do it. So, but once it happens, let me know. So, and I just started having like mortality things. I'm like, man, I'm getting old. I haven't done anything. And it's like, well, technically my life like just started. Like as like a okay, this guy's like finally just like an independent person. It's like I haven't lived with my parents for years at this point, but still it's like it's finally just like all right, I'm stable. Like I've got it under control, and it's like this is the exact time for that to happen. And I think that's part of it. You're kind of just like facing everything for the first time. It's like all right, well, I overcame a lot of obstacles that I wanted to, and it's like, well, what's the next obstacle? It was like, first it was like, how do I get a car? And then it's like, well, how do I get an apartment? And then it's like, well, how do I maintain this lifestyle now? How do I handle this like an entire new thing? And then once you're comfortable, it's just like, oh, so like I should probably be doing something else. And I think it just usually happens as a timeout to when you're 25. I think that the milestone of that age too, like, we just have to put numbers into context to simplify them for us. And 25 is one of those numbers. And it's just like, okay, well, this is like a benchmark thing. And I'm like, oh my God, oh my God. And I think I'm really at the spot that I should be at. But the story that I'm trying to tell is about a specific relationship. Well, I'm going to backtrack on that. So whenever I look back on stuff, I look back on them fondly. Like I like the good memories. I'll acknowledge like, oh, in that period, I was really depressed because of this, this, and this, and this is what wasn't good about this relationship, and it was actually pretty toxic and terrible. Blah blah blah, whatever. And then, but also be like, yeah, but like we had a blast, and like that's all I'll focus on, and which is great. It's like watching a clip show as your memories instead of, whatever else. Instead of like a courtroom recounting of the thingy. I can't remember what they're called. Um, and so that's just how I am. But there's like one relationship in my life. I think it happened at a pivotal point, and it changed the course of a lot of things. It has a million stories just within that relationship. Didn't last very long. It was like 8 or 9 months. And see, this is kind of weird doing this back to back because now I can't tell if I already talked about it in this pod. I know that I haven't. Like I'm really, really certain that I haven't. But if feels like I just did this. And well, I did, right? But on this recording, oh God, this is awful. But having said that, it was just like every bad decision I ever could have made, and I don't know. There's a million just insane batshit stories from that. It's part of the reason why like I just been like holding it. Like I've told a bunch of them here and there to like individual people, and it helps. Like it helps to get it out. I had to see a therapist after it was all said and done, amongst other things. And yeah, I mean, I don't mind talking about it. It doesn't affect me. It's not a thing where I never look back on anything and like feel an emotion, like unless it's like a dope thing, and I'm like, yeah, that was sick, bro. I fucking saw it, bro. It was fucking sick. Okay, bad bit. So yeah, like I can talk about it freely. It doesn't matter, but it's like I also don't want to bombard people with stories about a terrible relationship. Like that's not something that anybody would be looking forward to. You know what I mean? So I think that if we discuss things openly, like it helps things a lot. Anyway, I have a million stories in general, and that relationship alone has a million stories. And the reason why I want to do this podcast was to tell a bunch of those stories because I think they're fucking wild. Okay? And I love the title of that little shitty fucking stop motion that Ben Wyatt tried to make. Those are the two things. It's like, I got shit to say, and nobody wanted to do it with me, so I put it all together myself. It's not incredibly, like, expensive. Like I didn't invest. This isn't like a $10,000 venture that I'm like banking my life on, but I invested time and a little bit of cash, and I just feel like it's something that I should be doing. Also because I don't have the confidence for stand up. Um, so the backstory for this disaster of a relationship is middle school, 7th grade. Phones are just becoming a thing. Puberty is hitting hard. Okay, and I think that it's an important distinction that we don't really realize that we had. I'm in 7th grade that in 2007, so the iPhone just came out. No kids have one, but most kids have a phone. There were still some kids who didn't have a phone, but it was to the point where like you kind of got roasted. But it was not uncommon, and we're talking T9. Your ballsy move was or the baller move was 100% a keyboard phone, like Holy Grail being the sidekick. But I mean, anybody with a keyboard phone was like pretty tight. Although some kids would like get a BlackBerry because they were like expensive and like people on TV used them. But like those phones were not like. I mean, I don't know what the functionality is like now. Like if you compare it back, it might be either really primitive and really easy or like even more convoluted. But I just remember like being in 7th grade, it was like absolutely complicated. Like it didn't make any sense to me on how to work that. But whatever, I think they were dumb. Palms were sick, but that was expensive. And that might have been a little bit after. But anyway, so like we were growing up right along the parallels of tech. Like it was like the internet was super normal. Like we were using AIM, and that's gonna be a thing that I'm about to talk about. But like MySpace, like that was all legit. Like that was all going on right then. So it was kind of a new time to be that age, and it's like, well, I have all this stuff, and like you don't realize it, like whoa, like I mean, you're like whoa, this is cool, I want that shit, but you're not realizing that like, you know what I mean, that like your life is forming, your everything is so fucking dramatic when you're going through puberty that like every little moment just destroys you all the time, and it's awful. I mean, I hate it. Um, and I'm an incredibly shy person by nature. It's only grown for I got plenty of stories on that for the reasons why, but I'm not gonna try to divulge a bunch into this. This is I'm effectively doing what I did the first time again, like on that one that didn't record right, where I'm just rambling this out. So I guess it's good that the same effect is happening twice. That's really important. But yeah, so I mean, I could not talk to girls, but it was when you first notice girls. For me, at least, it was like 7th grade. I was just like, oh my god, they're beautiful. Before that, they were just girls. Yeah, you can borrow. Here's some construction paper. You need yellow. Whatever. It didn't fucking matter. They're just people. Everybody was a person. That was it. There were no lines to cross. You couldn't do anything. Like you know what I mean. Like you knew the difference. You're like, yeah, that is a girl. But like, I don't give a fuck. Just don't touch my glue stick. I don't know. There's never more equality than when you're fucking in first grade, at least in your head. As far as I was concerned, like everybody was the same. That's all I knew. Wow, didn't mean to go deep there, but um, yeah, and you were just like, holy shit. How the fuck are these girls like that? It was also the first time I ever like saw anybody new. I remember being super nervous for that because elementary school, it's like it's the same kids every year. I mean, some kids move in and out, but they're the new kids. Like you're chilling. And then I went to a middle school, so it wasn't like a K through 12. It wasn't a 7 through 12, whatever. I went to a 2-year middle school, and yeah, it's weird. You go in there and you're like, it's all these kids from like 6, 7 different elementary schools, whatever, however many, compiled into one. I don't even know how those numbers fit. The school wasn't that big, but it was weird. It was like I'm gonna see all these strangers, and we're all like, we'd see. Oh, I have to start over now, It's like getting a divorce when you're 70 years old. It's like, well, what the fuck am I supposed to do now? Jesus. Let me just go open a fucking dry cleaners or something, 'cause who cares? And you were just like, I don't want to start my life over. What's the point? Uh, and you have to like you're now like in it. I was in it. Like I was like going through some shit. I guess I only realize it now, but like you know what I mean? Like you don't notice shit. I mean, I didn't notice shit like that. Like things always just happen to me. Like I feel like I've been the same height forever. I never had any crazy growth spurts that like totally changed me overnight. It was always just like everything happened just real gradual. And I was like, all right, well that's that. And it's like now I weigh this and now I look like this. And it's like, all right, I didn't you know what I mean? It was never like, bam, overnight, this guy's different. So I didn't notice what was going on. You know what I mean? Like it was just happening to me. And I was just living it. It was crazy. Um and I just couldn't talk to them. I was just like any girl that I was interested in talking to. And then if there were girls that I could talk to, it was like I've been living with you, blah blah blah, poems, really long text. That trust me, that started right away, kids. That started immediately, and it was bad. It was embarrassing, When you're in 7th grade, you're just like an incel. You're doing it right away. I mean, that's how I was. I was fucking horny. Sorry, I didn't mean to make it about this. It's really not. But so yeah, I mean, I met a girl that like I saw a girl in middle school and then talked to her on MySpace and AIM, and we were like she was my girlfriend, but it was only online. It was an online relationship with somebody I went to the same school with. Also, if you have online relationships with people, I didn't get it. I didn't get it. It was like, why would you for like friends that because I couldn't talk to her, so that was why that was like that. But I never understood like why anybody would just like talk to their friends online and you want to chill. And it's like nah, and it's like well, why are we just texting all the time? You know what I mean? Like you live in my town. It's not that far. It's nice out. Like let's do something. Nah, it's like I never understood that. I really don't get it. Like just go chill. You're like no, I'm not doing anything. Me either. You want to do something? No. um, if they're like actually your friend and you're not just texting them because they're bored or whatever. So I never got that. But that was the relationship. She came up to me one day. I'll never forget it. And she was like, I want to talk to you. Like we have to talk now. Like we're dating. And I was like, okay. And I just didn't. I just really didn't. And then that's it. We broke up. And I didn't date anyone again until I was a junior in high school, and I didn't date her in the first place because it's 7th grade and nothing matters. But the stakes were so high, everything was so dramatic, and I remember like I lost it. Like getting dumped like crushed me. It was absolutely terrible. It didn't matter at the time, but anyway, so like I thought I was in love. It was ridiculous, but I thought I was in love. I thought she was so cool and whatever, and that lasted forever until I was 20 years old. From 12 to 20, I was chasing her. And we would like kind of be a thing for like a little bit, like 2 days. And then she would just like ghost me. And it would just happen all the time, like periodically, like every 6 months. She would like pop in and be like, I'm back, let's hang, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, then she did it again. And then it was like years would go by. And then she would do it again. And then, yeah, when I was 20, like she had her own apartment and just happened. And then basically the gist of what happened was I moved in with her I was in college and I moved in with her. She was like, finish school when you're done, like help me out with rent. Like I got you. Like I'm already living here by myself, so like you can just move in and blah blah blah. And I was like, are you sure? Because like I won't have money. Like I had a part-time job that I quit because I was like, I need to focus on school. This job is in my way, you know. And so I was like, okay, if you believe it. And I moved everything I had out of my parents' house. Like, even right now, as I say this, there's so much shit of mine that is at my parents' house. Like, my record player's there just because I don't got room and I don't want to have to move it again. Like if I have to move out of here. And I also gathered an entire apartment's worth of furniture and stuff because I was so convinced I was just going to get my own place. Like, it was no problem. Although I did almost buy the house. Like, oh, I almost bought this condo for 25 G's on South Shore, 78th. It was right by Kanye's house, and I didn't even know it. Okay, like the house he grew up in. It was like right around the corner. It was like fate, which is what this story is supposed to be about. Anyway, so I move in there, And everything's fine for like a little. Actually, no, she broke up with me on the first night technically, and her friend threw my stuff all over the room. That was crazy. So yeah, basically what happened there, I'm just gonna break it down. It was just toxic. She like got me to alienate everybody at school because I was just so in love. I thought anyway. Whatever. Who fucking cares? What an idiot. And then eventually she just got me to stop going, and I just dropped out. I was like, okay. I was too embarrassed to move out because I was like, this is like a matter of pride, which I don't know why the fuck I have any pride. I don't know where all that pride came from. I guess I don't know. But yeah, I just couldn't. So I was just like, all right, I'm just gonna keep duking it out. And then I got a job. She ruined it. Like she emailed my boss and was like, "Hey, he can't work this much." And then my boss was like, "Are you good?" And I'm like, "No, man, this is fucked up." It didn't go like that. I played along. Like I was afraid she was gonna find out if I just told my boss the truth, which she wouldn't have. And yeah, it was just awful. It was just awful. I alienated all my friends and family and dropped out of school. And I got a job and then I quit it. And then I got another job and I got special treatment because she complained to them. And it was just screaming and yelling and fighting and just a million stories I could tell you, like infinite, just unbelievable. And it destroyed me. And so the reason that I was bringing that up is because, again, I'll tell more about that and plenty of other things in episodes that go on. Feel free to ask anything, or if you have similar experiences you want to share, and we can kind of talk things out. rfatpodcast@gmail.com. Don't forget. Um, we, I mean, I eventually was just like, I can't do it. Well, actually, I got dumped, and then it was not an off thing for a while. Like it was bad. It was bad. But so the reason why I brought it all up is because I look back on that relationship because I didn't finish college and I got that job, but then nothing went for it. So I went for graphic design. That I had an internship. It didn't pay very well, but it paid, you know. And I was grateful for that. It was $500 a month. I was working like 9 a.m. to as late as like 10 p.m. because it was for a baseball team, and which was amazing. I love sports. Baseball's not very high up on my list. Like it's football, high and above, and then like basketball. Basketball's dropping rapidly though. Like the gap between 1 and 2 is enormous because I don't like the way it is now. I mean, I just remember like a playoff game could be like 86-82. I remember when the best defense in the NBA would allow 89 points per game, and you're like, damn, they're holding them below 90. Like that's unreal. And that was like 8 years ago. You know, like it wasn't that long ago when like Zebo was on the Grizzlies and they were just fucking muscling people. Weird that's what the Titans just did. A lot of Tennessee. Tennessee likes to just muscle. Um, and yeah, I now it's like the best. They're the best defensive team in the NBA. And it's like they allow 106 points per game. The worst defense in the NBA used to allow that, and it's just like that subtle gap is a big difference. Like you want to talk about physicality being down, like from hand checking. That's what everybody used to say. And the NBA is gonna totally fit into what I'm getting at with this whole thing. It's just that we're 33 minutes in, and this was again supposed to be a short thing, but you'll see. Um, and so yeah, but I like baseball. The playoffs are always super intense and super awesome, and that's great. I think there's no point in the regular season. Like it could be a third of the length, and that would be fine, or whatever. Like that's not really the point that I'm trying to make here. The point that I'm trying to make here is that a fucking graphic design and sports job is like a dream fucking come true for me. It's like if I was a guy who just made movie posters or like something weirdly specific like that. Like I worked in the film industry. Like that would be fucking awesome too. Probably be less cool. Just because like I literally like my little cubicle was in the office of the stadium. Like that was where do you work? Oh, I work at the fucking baseball stadium. Like that's so sick. And I would absolutely love to do something like that again, and I never will because like I don't have any you know what I mean? There's a whole thing, and it's a whole fucking butterfly effect thing, where it's like One, I probably shouldn't. I just shouldn't have gone to college because it was a very expensive art college that was not credible, and I pretty much got talked into it because I was too lazy. I didn't want to take gen eds, and they're like, "Yeah, we don't really have gen eds. Ours are basically fakes." And I was like, "This is perfect. I don't care what it costs because I didn't know what loans were. I didn't know how long it took to pay back certain amounts of money." My family, neither of my parents went to college, and they were just like, "Yeah, dude, we'll sign whatever you want." Like it was, I don't know if it was a supportive move or an ignorant move, but like either way, they were down and they signed the papers with me. And I just think it's crazy that like you can sign a document that's like, yeah, I'll owe. I mean, mine wasn't this much, thank God, because I would probably have had a heart attack by now. But like, yeah, I'll borrow $120,000. I'll pay it off in no time. It's like, oh, wait, that's actually not feasible to pay off quickly. And I didn't know, and it was private loans, so like the rates are insane and it's a whole thing. And so like maybe I just shouldn't have gone, maybe they just should have stopped me. That's fine. But had I finished, I could say that for sure. And I didn't. So like I'm always going to have that be the more pivotal thing cuz like, if I did finish, maybe I wouldn't regret going, you know? And then it was like, well, maybe if I also didn't act like a little kid and like get demands and like have my personal life involved and like adjust my hours. So basically, like I was working like nine in the morning, 10 at night, like for night games, because you would just come in for your office work, which I was the designer, so like all of my work was office work. All the interns were there at 9, but they would have to like clean and shit. And I didn't even have to do that, and it was sick. I loved it, and like it was that job was great. But yeah, I like couldn't talk to any of the girls, blah blah blah. And eventually I was just like, fuck it, whatever. I'm gonna do whatever I want. I'm just at work, like I'm chilling. But yeah, and then it was just like, oh wait, now I'm not. And I could just tell, like that next day I came in, it was the groundskeeper. Like I could tell he made a joke. I think I couldn't tell, but he was just like, hey man, you doing okay? With like a little bit of a smirk, and it was just like, oh, this kid's a fucking pussy. He's super whipped and is super soft. And either way, the difference was I didn't have to come in at 9 a.m. anymore. I could come in at I could come in for my 8 hours. So I would start at 1 or 2 for a night game, and then on an off day, I would just work 9 to 5, whatever, blah blah blah. And then she would just like call me and call me and call me and like bother me while I was there, and it was insane. And it was like I cannot answer the phone. I can't. It was because she was unemployed at the time, but it's like this is my job. Like I don't like, you're not my job. Anyway, sorry. I don't mean to be diving into those arguments. This is not a whole thing. But yeah, so that would be the next like step on that thing. It's like, okay, well what if I didn't start coming in at 2 and I just like paid my dues like I was supposed to and do my 9 to 9 shit, like whatever. I didn't care. Fucking like 20 and I dropped out of college. I was lucky I was even in this thing. And I don't think that they knew. I don't think that they knew that I dropped out. And I also don't think that they cared. I mean, I got the job. Like, it didn't matter. Clearly they thought I was capable to do it. Um, so, like, all of that part's fine. But, I mean, what if there was an opportunity? You know what I mean? Like, I squandered any opportunity if there was one, and I'll never know if there was one. And, that's just always, like, really hit home. And then from there, it was like, I just got to work to pay off these student loan bills that are kicking in now. And, next thing you know, it's fucking 5 years later, and here you are. And it all just kind of hit me at once. And then, like, 25, that milestone number, it's like, oh, you wish, like the way, if a guy got 2,996 hits, again, I don't know why baseball, it's fresh in the mind, that is 3,000 hits. But, like, even me, like, I don't actually think the way I just said it, because it's like, why couldn't he just play like a couple more games? Like literally the movie Mr. 3000. I didn't want it to be that, but that's what it ended up being. Or it's like, you know what I mean? Like if a quarterback threw 299 career touchdown passes, it's like why didn't he sign with a team for like 1 week? You know? And it's just like, well, first of all, people don't play for stats. I mean, people do play for stats, but those aren't the guys you tend to remember as like Legends. Anyway. So it's just one of those milestone numbers, and I don't know. I think the combination of not smoking, see, it's tying together, um, and having that anxiety there combined with just being reflective, and I've also just been a little depressed lately, like after getting sick. Again, I think that might be tied into like the sick thing, but it comes and goes, and it's winter, it's cold, Chicago, not really much going on. Haven't been seeing people as much. Everybody's busy or everybody's dating somebody or people are doing whatever, and I'm not really doing anything right now. And I'm just working and I hate my job, and it's just like all of those things combined together, and like um yeah, I just had a real mortality thing, and like that would always happen to me with SIGs anyway as a hypochondriac. Like, and I also have psoriasis, which goes into my shyness development, but we're not going to talk about that either. That was a whole crazy experience getting that as you go into high school. It's like I could not catch a fucking break. So, I mean, yeah, and I was just like, oh my god, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die. And like I said, like, I don't want to. So it really freaks me out when I think that I'm gonna for no reason. And then I just hammered, and then, like, for this one, I was just, like, hammering it in my own, like, you're gonna die, period. Like, one day. And I was like, no, shut up. And I cannot handle thinking about what it would actually be like for it to happen. And then I get into this loop where, like, I can't stop, and it's terrible, and I hate it. And that's how that one was. Doesn't happen to me very often when it gets bad like that. But, yeah, so I was just like freaking out all the time, and then like I was like, dude, like what am I? You know what I mean? Like I'm 25 and I'm single, and it's like, like I got the apartment. And it's like I don't really know what to do now. Kind of like, all right, I got over I climbed all the steps. I got a car and I moved out, and then I learned how to be on my own. And now that I know what I'm doing, and I'm just kind of like bored, and it's like all I do is go to work and come home, and then even if I go out, it's like, well, I gotta go to work, and I think really it boils down to like hating my job while being stressed out and quitting cigs and blah blah blah. But then like, yeah, just 25 hit me, and I just like had like a breakdown, and I was like, I was like, there's a reason why I'm thinking about this so much, like the mortality thing, like leading, and then like past my birthday. Like it stuck around for about a week. I mean, like it really hit me like on the 14th, but then like it was just kind of on my mind like a little bit before and a little bit after. And where this all ties up, well, I thought that this was going to be where it all tied up into an ending, but like I said, it ended up shining through today. But then I was at breakfast with my mother, my beautiful mother, who is a saint, and I absolutely love her. And I am too much of a coward to just say that to her. She's the greatest mother anyone could ever ask for. And if you ever see a sweet little turtle-looking lady, give her a high five or whatever. I don't give a fuck. I do. Don't bother my mother. But I was like, I got a text and it was just like, oh, is this fake news? And I think you guys probably know what I'm talking about. And I was like, yeah, that's gotta be fake news. And then I get a bunch more texts. It was in a group chat. And it's like, oh, wait, no. It actually doesn't seem to be fake. And this was like 10, 15 minutes later. And I was like, wait. Like, I didn't even respond. I was like, oh, I'm going. And I was like, I was like about to go to Safari. Then I was like, no. I'm going straight to ESPN. And sure enough, there's his face. And it's breaking news. Kobe's dead. And I was immediately like, I was in so much shock. I will never forget where I was. It's one of those moments. It's like 9/11. I mean, not to say it's that serious, but I just mean like that moment where you're like, where were you when you found out? It's like I know exactly where I was when I found out. And I mean, I don't mean to be rude when I say this, but like I don't know why it affected me that much. I think because of the context, like I'd been thinking about it, and like I was like, this is gonna culminate in something. Like something bad's definitely going to happen if I'm thinking this much. Because usually, like whenever I'm in like that state, and I'm not saying I'm like tapped into any fucking consciousness. I'm just saying like whenever I get like that anxious to where I'm just like thinking about death all the time, like usually something goes down in my life that either snaps me out of it or like realizes it. And I don't have any examples off the top of my head, but it's just like because like they don't happen that often. It's not, and this one, and they usually don't culminate in anything this crazy. Like, you know what I mean? It'll be like I'm feeling like that, and then I'll get a call for like a job interview, and whether I got that job or not, it didn't matter. It, like brought my spirits back up, and which is what I could use now. And I did get one, and that did bring my spirits back up actually. But I fucking failed it. It was a phone interview. I hate phone interviews. They're terrible, and I'm too shy. I can't just start talking to people. I'm terrible at interviews. Um, we were. I just told her, and she was like, "Oh my god." She's like, "I think I'm gonna cry." And it's like, yeah, and like I just don't know why. I think it was all that stuff built together, but it's like also that's fucking Kobe. Like our generation's Jordan, like in play style, obviously, but also like he was the best play. He was the first best player in the NBA that I remember watching live. And when LeBron like not just came into the league, but when he started getting better, and the Lakers as a team started getting worse, it's like, is he the best player in the league? And I was that guy who was like, fuck no, he's not. I'm not jumping on this new bandwagon. Like this is the best player in the NBA. And he was. And I was just a little bit too young for peak Iverson. And he also just wasn't on TV as much. I mean, Kobe had Shaq and Phil Jackson, and they won 3 titles. You know? Like, for me, it's like Kobe number 8, I barely even remember. It's mostly 24. I don't know when he made the switch. It had to be around, like, '05, '06, though. Maybe '07, you know what I mean? And I just remember, like Black Mamba, you know what I mean? Like, Mamba Kobe 24 is insane. I remember when he scored 81. I didn't see it, and I was too young. Like, you know what I mean? I don't remember like watching the highlights, but I remember like that being a thing that like was. I used to read the newspaper. I think or look at the standings and stuff, and I used to love it, and that's why I still do it all the time. But it's not as satisfying anymore, which is unfortunate. But that's okay. And I mean, like, Chappelle, like, he started the Kobe thing. I think he started that. Like, when you're throwing something out or throwing anything into anything that is similar to what a basketball going into a net is like, you say Kobe. And I think that was because of Dave Chappelle, as far as I know. If not, whoever started that, fucking dope. But either way, like, you said fucking Kobe. That was what you said. Like, it was just a part of your language. And you know what I mean? He was just everywhere. And then it was like Lil Wayne. I was huge into Lil Wayne. That was right around fucking No Ceilings, which to this day I will say is the greatest mixtape of all time, and I have not re-listened to it much since high school. I really went into a whole like Lil Wayne's the best, and then I was like Lil Wayne's the worst when I was in my Def Jux phase. Yeah, I got real aggressive and fucking annoying about it, and it's stupid, and now I can understand. Like, he was great, he's not anymore, and that's fine. But that song, Kobe Bryant, it was like, Kobe down Topo on my shirt. He was like, fuck yeah, 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 yeah. And then you would like watch it to like his mixtape, and it was like, oh my god, to Kobe's mixtape. And it would be like, oh my god, you're just getting so fucking hype. And it's like, dude, this guy is so good. It's like every time he shoots it, you expect it to go in. And I remember he would just stand at the 3-point line sometimes and just like pump fake it like 20 times, and like the shot clock would run down, and he would just hit a buzzer beater, and the guy was locked on him the whole time. Like none of his moves worked. He like wouldn't even dribble. He would just like do some jab steps and some pump fakes, and then he would just drill a 3 anyway. I know his 3-point shooting percentage like wasn't great for his career or whatever, but I just remember like moments like that at least, or just all those fadeaways or whatever. Or I'll never fucking forget. I will never forget when Matt Barnes like tried to like pretended to throw the ball in his face, and he just did not flinch. He didn't even blink. And I was like, this is the baddest motherfucker there is. And he would just ice games and like would crush it. And I wanted that second three-peat. But I'm also glad that the Celtics won because I liked that team. I like Ray Allen a lot. And Rondo was Rondo, like, he's a smart basketball player. He's a true point guard. And I was into it. But this is about Kobe. And he was just everywhere. And I mean, the way he talked, he was just clearly so intelligent. And it's like, how did he get this smart? He didn't go to college. He was just a fucking brilliant guy. It's like one of those things where you realize like LeBron probably could have just became a businessman. He just happened to be really good at basketball. It's like, okay, well, that's the avenue I'm going to take. It's like one of those things where like a scout will be like, he's too smart. It's like, that is never a problem anywhere. But okay, yeah, he's too smart. We don't want Kobe. He's too smart. Let's get rid of him. And look, I'm just going to say this because a bunch of other people said it and brought it up. The Colorado thing, look, you can say that it definitely happened in your mind, and that's fine if you think that, because it's probably likely and it's bad. It's definitely bad. It is not good. But now's not the time to bitch about it. Okay? Like it shouldn't be you see breaking news and then you have to give your little comment about how nobody should be sad or whatever. You can just go not be sad. Like, okay, his positives outweigh that one negative, and that sounds terrible probably to some people for some reason, but like that guy brought joy to a lot of people, and his family took a loss regardless. You know, there are people that loved him that lost him, and it's a really tragic way for somebody to go. So you leave your fucking takes about how like nobody should care because of blah 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 because of one thing. It's like, okay, you've never fucked up before, and I get that that's really 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 bad of a fuck up. I get that, but I'm just saying, like now's not the time. It's like breaking news, and it's like nobody can mourn, nobody can be sad. It's like if you don't care about the people posting about how much they fucking loved the guy, then you are the problem and need to get off. Okay, it's not the masses. This affects millions of people. Like like Los Angeles is a wreck. So anyway, that's just my thing. I just don't think that this is the time or place to reflect on that. This is the time to just be like, "Oh my god, rest in peace. I'm so sorry to everyone involved." And all the other people too. Like I think that this would be like a big news story regardless who was on there. Maybe not obviously and literally not as big. But I mean it kind of seems like something that would be pretty newsworthy regardless. Especially given like if everybody else was the same on board and besides Kobe and his daughter. It's like if it was the same scenario, you know. And I just remember I kept waiting for like the second thing. It's like, "Oh, no, he's actually fine." Like in my head it was like, "Okay, there was a crash, but he Kobe'd out." You know what I mean? The it's like Kobe can't die. That was like what I thought. It was like in a situation like that, like no 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 no. He'd will his way to living through that. And then they'd find him and, he'd persevere because he fucking wins. That's just what he does. And I was just waiting for that and it just never came. Like it never even came close to coming. There wasn't one person who was like, "Oh my god, they actually think that there might be survivors." It apparently was like absolutely brutal. I mean, I heard that there's a video of it somehow, and I do not want to see it. It would break my heart. But he meant so much to an entire city. He was doing so much like with his production company now. Like I was super interested in like what content he'd be coming out with going forward, because I'm sure it would have been fucking awesome. And it's sad from that perspective. Like if you love like you know what I mean. He had that children's book that seemed like really cool, and I know he had that like whole Harry Potter idea thing, like not for Harry Potter, but like his own like world building thing, and he won the short for Dear Basketball like right away, right after he retired. And it's just like the 60 points. It's like you can go on and on and on about every fucking thing this guy did, but it was more than that for me because I wasn't watching as much basketball because I was like too young. I like wasn't really into sports. I was really into football by the time I was 12. Absolutely. Um, this is all back to like seventh grade because this is really when I was like getting into like all sports of any kind. It's like okay, well, I was watching baseball games in the summer and like things like that. But like back then, it was just like watching. Like I saw what happened and that was it. If that makes sense, like a receiver went in motion and then the quarterback just threw the ball and it went into his hands, and it's like, okay, I didn't understand like guys are doing this and all the like little subtle things about sports that are going on at in every single second that you don't know, specifically football. And I think that's why I like it so much to this day, is that I learned so much more from it. And then like basketball, obviously, like some of it I just don't get, frankly. Like I don't understand what step is what step and what move is what move, and like I only understand the basic parts, and I just every time I see a guy like fucking play weak ass D, it just really bumps me out. And the points again, we're not getting into that right now. But so yeah, I mean like that's the time frame I really use because like when I was like 8, I especially didn't understand. Like when I was 6 or 7, my dad took me to a Bulls Wizards game, and I got to see Michael Jordan play in person on the Wizards. I always do that as the second part of that story. It's like, yeah, I've seen Michael Jordan play. He was on the Wizards. But like it was cool. Like I saw Michael Jordan play in the United Center. Like that's awesome. and but I don't remember it, frankly. I remember I picked the Wizards to win. The Bulls were terrible at the time, also, so like that wasn't a bold pick. Um, but I was like, the Wizards are gonna win this game because of Michael Jordan. Like that was like, it's Michael Jordan. Like you knew that when you were 7, and kids that were 7 when I was 12 thought that about Kobe Bryant. Um, and then the same year we went to a Lakers Bulls game. So Kobe and Shaq, and apparently Shaq like hit Brad Miller or something. And there was like I don't know if it was a fight so much as like it wasn't like a brawl, but I think there was like a little quick spat. From what I was told, everybody stood up, and I was too small to be able to see, so I don't know what happened. But I remember I picked the Bulls because I was like, you know what I mean? I got nobody to root for on this team because I didn't know. I didn't know Kobe and Shaq. I was like, I just want the Bulls to win this time. And they did. And they were terrible. And the Lakers were the best team in the NBA, so I don't know how that happened. I feel like I must remember that incorrectly, but it's pretty vivid to me for some reason. And I was also super convinced that I was really good at the Dunkin' Donuts game. I was like, I can always pick a fucking winner. I need to watch it for 3 seconds and I'll tell you. And I won like 6 in a row, like you know when I went to Blackhawks games or whatever. Like I always got it. But yeah, I mean, and then it became Kobe. Like he was the first real basketball player I watched as I learned basketball, and it was like '07, and I was like, oh my god, this guy is incredible. So I was like just getting into all this, and he was just the guy. You know, he was untouchable. Nobody was winning titles but him. You know, it seemed like because like basketball dynasties don't really happen, and I don't know. He was just a great. He was smart. He was always so witty. Like everything he said was funny, and I like that he was always like kind of an arrogant dick to like reporters and stuff. You know what I mean? But it was like a smirky way, and they all respected him. It's like you command respect, and Kobe was just he was special in every way, and would have been cool as like a film fan. It's like, whoa, this guy gonna become like a producer or an actor. I pretty much want everybody's post whatever career to be acting. Like, why isn't Obama in movies? Is a thought that I have every couple months. Come on, he'd be so good at it. I mean, I think like if somebody coached him, you know. But I think like his charisma and his voice and his look, like he could totally like play a doctor in a movie real quick. Best supporting actor for the president. You know, we've had Reagan be the actor then president. That doesn't seem to go so well. But why don't we find out what the president and then actor thing is like? You know, I'd love to find that out. Hopefully that's already happened. Somebody give me some news on that. But yeah, it's tragic the way he went, everything about it, and I'll never forget where I was. And it's like something's just it's I say, that's what it is. It's that like you can't believe that somebody who was in such command all the time, who got what he wanted when he wanted it, and he did everything he ever could have dreamed of, and he worked so hard. I mean, imagine being 17 and it's like, okay, you're in the NBA. That's already crazy. But like you live for 17 years. Most of it is development. So you're really like only like conscious and have like solid memory for like 11 years, right? But either way, we'll say 17 years. And then you play for in the NBA for 20 years. It's like, well, you never lived any aspect of real life except high school, and you were a phenom, so like everybody was freaking out over you anyway, so that wasn't normal. And then you're just in the NBA for longer than you've done anything else, like in your existence. And I mean, I get that that plays out for like guys who are like, oh, I worked for the post office for 60 years, and like, yeah, you're 80 years old. But to go like 17 in the NBA in the limelight on prime time, winning rings, just being the best. One MVP is also insane. That year those Steve Nash wins were bullshit. Okay. I mean, I'm not going to say both of them were, but Kobe averaged like 36 a game, and it's like, that's the MVP no matter what happened. I mean, unless there's a guy with 37, then sure. But, I mean, if there's a guy with like 34, then he's got like more assist and rebounds. But you get what I'm saying. Like, Steve Nash was like 19 and 11. They're like MVP. And I get the reason why. That team was crazy. But I hated them at the time. I love them in retrospect, and I wished I would have watched more Suns games. But, yeah, I mean, it's just like, it's Kobe. Like, he's gonna be around, and like it's it's not like it's not like losing somebody because they got sick, and there's just something weird about it because like that's also depressing, but and it's not like losing somebody to old age or even to like murder. Do you know what I mean? Like all of those all losses are tragic, especially when there's somebody that like you feel strongly about. But the way to go out like that, like in a pure, like legit just tragedy, like it's tragic that he's gone, period. But then like it's literally in like a horrible freak accident, terrible thing, and you find out like not only his children but other children on board. It's just like you could never like imagine trying to get over that. And it's like I think that that's what it is. It's that we all realize that like none of us would ever be able to get over something like that. Like if like let's say like your wife, your husband, your son, your daughter was there, you like it would break you forever. And since we all know who Kobe is, we kind of feel it that way. But okay, I just wanted to say a little bit about him, and it's interesting that all of it tied together like that. So like it felt like all those things I was feeling around my birthday just kind of culminated in unfortunately that tragedy happening and being like all that death around. Now I'm not saying that I willed that into existence or my brain knew that was going to happen or that was any kind of premonition. I'm just saying like it ended up becoming relevant and it happened the way it happened for a reason. Like cuz it was like I was already feeling better, like I said, because I got that interview thing, so that kind of alleviated it already. And then this incredible weight, like it was crushing. Like don't get me wrong, it's not like I felt a weight come off my shoulders when I found out this happened. No, I couldn't really talk, and I just wanted to leave the restaurant and go lay in my bed and like, you know what I mean? Like my eyes welled up. A couple tears might have fell. I mean I wasn't like here bawling or like crying it out and I needed a hug or whatever, but like I was just like, damn, man. It was just like somebody punched you in the fucking gut, you got the wind knocked out of you or whatever. But then I also was just like, man, like that's what was going on. And it's like, instead of me freaking out, now this isn't me like flipping a switch. I'm definitely going to have these terrible panic attacks still and like the anxiety, and I'm still going to think the way I'm thinking. But in that moment, I was able to be like, okay, like, if this happened to this guy, it's like I gotta stop tripping, you know? And that was kind of what sparked me starting the podcast. I mean, what delayed it was that I had to modify a table to get an arm in it, and that's why every once in a while you hear this. Because, like, the arm is connected to the table, so anything makes a noise or I hit the table or anything happens, it goes up the arm and does the whole thing. But like I need an arm because it's like I'm sitting on the floor and a chair on the floor, so like and my knees don't fit under the table. So like I had just a tripod with a mic on it, and I was trying to lean forward into it, and it just did not work. Like it hurt my back and it was really uncomfortable, and I was like, I need an arm. I bought an arm and then the arm didn't fit and I had to cut a chunk out, and it's like this delayed it again and again. And I'd already been trying to do it with other people before, I'd mentioned that, whatever. And I was just like ready. It's like I have to start something. Like I already have a bunch of music out there, wolfx.bandcamp.com. Shameless plug. Or multiplex.bandcamp.com. Another shameless plug. But all the multiplex stuff is on Wolfx if you ever want to check it out. It's whatever. It's fine. It's good and it's fun and I like it. But I don't know how to mix and master it. And just like I don't know how to mix and master this. Like no matter what tutorials I watch, I don't get any better at it. And and I know my quality's not that great on this mic or anything either. But it's not. I feel like it's a more forgivable thing to have maybe a podcast that's not up to like super high standards versus music that's not, because pretty much everybody dropping everything is like studio quality. And either I just haven't built the studio that's made for sound quality, or I don't know what I'm doing, and it's definitely both. I was gonna say a little bit of both, but it's definitely both. Period. Maybe a lot of both, because I definitely don't have a studio set up for sound quality. I just got a fucking Scarlett and some dope shit. But my point was, I was like, I just need to do this. Like it's just time. Like I've got to be I want to be working on something. I need some kind of project. Cause graphic design, I mean, I'm not like out there trying to like sell myself, like, hey, I'll do your thing, like trying to get Facebook friends to like do stuff like, who's me new graphic designer? Yeah, me, blah blah blah. And I'm not like trying to do all that. I'm not trying to like talk my way into like a text interview basically with somebody and like send them my work and they're gonna try to judge me and tell me what to do and do like freelance shit like that. Like I don't want to do it like that. And I'd want to do it for work. Like I'd want it to be my job. And like I'll whip something up whenever I have an idea, absolutely. Um, like I said, I've got ideas for merch for this, so I hope it really blows up so I can do that because I would love to design some shirts. It's super fun. But the thing with design is that it's not something you can just like do for me. Because for me, the thing I like about it is that it's a job. Like you have a task that you have to complete. Like I need this, 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 and this. And you then create it. Like you're fulfilling an order basically. And for me, it's not something that I want to practice. It's like, oh, I'm gonna make a poster for fun. It's like, no. It's like my practice is like when I happen to need to use Photoshop or Illustrator. It's like I'm gonna try and finagle things around, and I kind of mess around then. But I'm not gonna sit there and just do it anymore. You know what I mean? I did that for years. I would just practice and practice and practice for years, and it's just not something that I'm. It's not that I think that I'm a great graphic designer. I mean, I would still like prefer a junior level position to start. So don't get me wrong. I don't think that I'm like amazing. Um, but I think I'm a little bit more set in my ways, and I also think I'm just like sick of practicing it. You know what I mean? It's just, like it's not fun. Like I want my like extracurriculars to be enjoyable. And that's the other thing. It's like mixing and mastering music is not enjoyable. So I didn't want to do that. And like right now, the band we have 2 fucking albums on the shelf because we can't mix and master it properly, and it's gonna come out and it's gonna sound like shit. And it's gonna be a waste of time. And it's like they're both great. I would just love for it to get mixed and mastered. But anyway, so and then I was just like, I gotta just do something, and I wanted my something to be something that I loved. Well, I haven't done this, but and it's like I'm too scared, too shy to do stand up, and it's just it had to be this. It just had to be this. And it got delayed, and here we are, still doing it. And then today is when everything finally came together. I was going to record this podcast yesterday. It didn't celebrate my boy's birthday. I said this, I think. I don't know. Again, I got the recordings crossed. Sorry if I'm repeating myself. I know that the last couple minutes have been pretty spacey and dead. And it's because I'm really trying to pinpoint something that I think that I wanted to say but didn't before. And it's been a whole distraction. And I kind of just fucked myself over there. But that's all right. We're back on track now. I was listening. I put it off until today for whatever reason. It had to be today. I don't know why. I listened to the last episode of Harmontown. I absolutely love Harmontown. I love Dan Harmon, period. Community is amazing. I can talk about it forever. I can talk about Rick and Morty forever. I went on a fucking road trip because of that show. And it was one of the best experiences of my entire life. So without Dan Harmon, a lot of things wouldn't have happened. And I think that I relate to that guy a lot. And I think that he's way funnier than me. And I wish I could be, I don't know. I almost wish that if I could have like changed my whole school history though, that I would have gone for screenwriting because I would love to do that so much. Kind of. I don't really know what I'd love to do, but like I wrote a script for a show. I think I talked about this in the last one. And it's clearly missing something, but I know that I have something there. But anyway, none of this is the point. But he's a big inspiration to me, and that show was the reason that was the first podcast I started to listen to. Everything about it I loved. I love that it's live. I would love to do that live. I would love to tour, like just like he did. And I would, I mean, I know another podcast tour. It's not that thing, but he was the reason I found all that stuff out. And I would love to do a live one every time too. That would be super cool. But and it was just great, and it was just people talking, and I just loved it. And I didn't want to let go. I didn't want to listen to the last one just in case it got emotional, and I'm glad that it didn't. It was just another episode, which was fucking awesome, and it was very in the vein of the show. But at the end, Dan Harmon does a little giveaway thing, and he literally says like he reads that letter. He reads a letter from a fan that's basically like, "Yo, like what I just said, but it was at a pivotal time in this person's life," and they were like, "Man, I was like wrecked." And then I started listening to this, and it just like helped me out, and blah blah blah. And like a bunch of great things happened. And then he's like, "Look, I'm gonna paraphrase this, but he's literally just like, hey, if you're 25 and you're going through shit and you're like, where's my life going? Just go do the thing you want to do. And I'm like, wow, like that's always easy for everybody to say, like just go do it, 'cause like you know what I mean, like that's what everybody says about music and like playing shows, and it's like that's just not as easy as just go do it. Like there's a lot more involved in that, and there's a lot more involved in that than you realize, and so that's tricky. But starting is, I think, what he meant. It's like just go start it, and just keep working at it and keep working at it, and like why not? And my thing is like that's why I wrote that script, and again, like I cannot stress enough. It's probably terrible as a script, but trust me, it's funny. And if I could explain that well enough to anybody at any point that mattered, I think that I could convince them if I was ever in that scenario. But again, that's neither here nor there. This is really not what I'm trying to hammer home here. What I'm trying to hammer home here is that he was adamant, and like not even adamant, just like that's not the right word, but just like he meant it so much. It was so genuine and so pure and just so honest and so like inspiring. And he was just literally, and it was like he was talking to me, and I get it. That's kind of the point, and that's what he was saying he was doing. But it was just like with all that other shit that I was discussing, the anxiety stuff, the not smoking stuff, the death stuff, the Kobe stuff. Rest in peace, Kobe. And then me doing this also, like at this time, like I didn't start this that long ago. I started it right in the midst of me being sad like that. I mean, like the week after my birthday, I was just like, I have to just do this, because I was gonna do it in December, and then I got delayed, and then I got the arm, and then you know what I mean. Like even once it was finally set up, I was still delaying it, and then I just kept feeling terrible and terrible, and then I got sick, and then it was like, I got to break out of this. I'm just gonna do it. Like now is the time, And I had that moment, and he was basically saying like, go have that moment, and it just came together. It's such a perfect thing. And I was literally just like, as soon as this episode's over, I'm going to go record. And that's the last thing he says on the last episode of the show. And I don't know. It just all really clicked for me. And it felt really special. Like, kind of like the way all the negative stuff just kept clicking together and piling up. And it all added up. And it all made sense. And it was like, Jesus, this is fucking bleak right now. And everything is really tough. It was like me processing through it in the past week or so, and then like trying to mourn a little bit. Like I don't want to say mourn in a way that's offensive to like his family and close friends and stuff, but you know what I mean. Like just process it and try to deal with it, because you listen to fucking Icon, and the way that like I bounced out of it, and it all culminated with like hearing him say that like right around the time I did. Like I wish I listened to it before I recorded the first one, kind of, because then it would be like, oh shit, because he's like, go start a podcast. And it's like, okay, no problem. But it could not have been a more perfect time for me to listen to it. And it's just like the way the last 2 days worked out is crazy. I was gonna do it yesterday and I didn't, and then yeah, to hear him say that really shook me up, and I wanted to lay it down. And it's just been a wild 2020. I mean, the day before New Year's Eve, I lost my fingernail, closed it in a car door, but basically dealt with that throughout all of January. It is still not fully back. It's just a little bit short, and it's weird to touch, but it doesn't hurt. It hasn't hurt for a while, but it was just like all January I was dealing with something. It was the finger plus the sickness, then the sadness, then that, and it's just like, wow, the month ended on such a good note though, because I kind of snapped myself out of it, at least for the most part, and at least for right now, and that's all that matters. Is like, can you just get through it each time, and then as I get through it, right as I'm in the middle of starting this new creative endeavor, one that I think honestly this is the one that I have never felt. I wouldn't say I've never felt better about it, but I don't know. I've never felt like more comfortable with it. I've always had a thing where it's like, if it's not your job, you shouldn't say you do it. I mean, unless you are like literally trained. But like, I don't like to say I'm a graphic designer, because that's like a job. But it's like, I don't know, if you paint like If you paint houses, you're a painter, but then also like if you paint like original compositions or like you paint still lifes or whatever, like you're still a painter if you do it all the time. But that's I think because like it's pretty hard to get a job as a fine artist like that. But that's not the point I'm trying to make either. Jesus. um, but yeah, so I've never liked to call myself that or a musician because like I'm not on a label, and nobody listens to my music. Just because it's online doesn't mean that people listen to it. And nobody the few shows we've played, it's not like people were there to see us, certainly. Um, but this just feels like right. I think stand up I could probably get that into the cards. I'm hoping that this can boost me into starting that. I'm hoping to get better at this as I will keep saying, um, and to keep doing it. And yeah, I got myself out of that funk, and then right as I was about to sit down, him saying that again. I know I'd just been repeating that over and over again, but I just couldn't believe that he said that like at such a perfect moment for me. Um, it really completed the turnaround that I was having in my moods, and I feel great, and I hope that this can prosper. But I'm gonna tap out for now. We will reconvene shortly, and don't forget, never forget, I are fat, you are fat, we are fat. Rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. Calculator.